Slideshow. Feudalism is a new form of government. At the top of the pyramid is the king, and underneath them is the vassals, and underneath them is the knights, and the villains or peasants. Feudal relationships began in the AD 700s. At that time, Charles Martel was fighting with Muslims. He sieged cavalry. Muslim soldiers fought on horseback using a sword or lance. Charles wanted to adopt stirrup, new military system. Martel granted warriors fiefs. Fiefs became bases of feudalism. Got income to buy horses and battle equipment. Frankish king enlarged system later by giving fiefs counts and local officials. Nobles assumed powers. Feudalism. By AD 900s, nobles and monarchs emerged as feudalism. Nobles provided knights for royal army. One German warrior, Sibodo of Falkenstein, was a vassal to 20 different lords. Conflicts of royalty arose if a vassal lords went to war with another. Ties between lords and vassals were made in solemn ceremony known as homage. Most important obligation was military service. Vassals agreed to supply lords with knights. Vassals pledged to pay ransom when lords were captured. Every noble built a castle or fortified manor for defense against armies. First castles were wooden buildings with high fences or mounds of dirt, or a deep moat around it. Interior castle. In AD 1100s, castles started to be built out of stone with thick walls and turrets. They also consisted of towers called keeps. This is the strongest part of the castle. Contained many rooms and a dungeon surrounding it. The keep is a large area called the bailey. The bailey had storerooms, workshops, a chapel, and barracks. Poverty and hardship characterized peasant life, and few peasants lived past 40. Famine and disease were constant dangers. During war, the peasants were the first and hardest hit. Invaders would trample crops and burn villages. Serfs lived in tiny one-room houses with dirt floors, no chimney, and one or two pieces of furniture. Some people slept huddled together for warmth. Coarse bread, a few vegetables from gardens, and grain for porridge made up their usual diet. Meat was rare. Increased production. Peasants were only able to produce enough food for the estate. Peasants improved the plow and invented the three-field system. Field 1, winter wheat. Field 2, spring wheat. And Field 3, fallow completed. Manorial system. Feudal lords' wealth came from peasants who lived and worked on the land. Manorialism is a system of agricultural protection that provides peasants with shelter and protection in return for doing various work for the lord. Warfare and invasions made trade impossible, so the manor had to produce everything it needed. Life of the nobility. Lords, ladies, and knights made up the nobility of the Middle Ages. Nobles lived easier than peasants who worked for them. Nobles' castles were built for security, not comfort. They were usually dark, cold, and dumb. Noblemen collected rent, food, and service from the peasants in return for safety. Concept question. Draw the feudal pyramid.
David is the editor and the director. Me, Tim, is the slider. Nick was the illustrator and the narrator. Chad's the videotaper, and Mike is the scribe. The end.